Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We will be going live. We are live, actually, and we will be kicking off week number 2 of Coach Fee's philosophy of self-care. And this week's topic is you're not the problem, the wound is. So make sure you tap in. Again, if this is something that you feel like you're going to find value in, or you're going to need to um, share this with someone else that may need to hear this, please share this on your page. Tap in and follow me on Coach Fee on all platforms. So I am on Facebook and all the other social media platforms. But we are going to dive into some healing this evening. And I just want you guys, make sure you have your notebooks and your pens, get your paper ready, because I have some tips for you. I am also featuring a author every week, so you're going to want to tap into that. That way you'll know who the new author is for the live. Last week we featured an author. This week we're going to feature a different author. So every week it's going to be a new author. So make sure that you tap in, tap in, tap in. And so I am excited to get started with you. And as you know, um, I'm back, right? So everyone's been asking, oh my goodness, you are back. You are doing your lives. And last week live was absolutely phenomenal. And so I am back, back, back. You will see me here every Thursday at 5:30. So make sure you set your calendars, set your alarms, make sure you tap in, make sure you are ready for some self-care, because you know that's what it is all about for Coach Fee. It is always phenomenal philosophy that is coming your way. You are going to be prosperous. You are going to be healthy. You are going to be educated. You are going to be empowered when you leave this live. So when you are in my presence, that is what I hope that you leave with, is being phenomenally yourself. So make sure that you share this on your page, and I'm going to give it a few minutes. When you hop on, please say something so that I know that you're there. And we are going to get started here shortly, but just share this on your page. If you are just now joining, make sure you share this on your page so other people can take advantage of what you are getting the pleasure of seeing live. If you don't know, that I am Coach Fee, and this is the philosophy of self-care, and we are diving into some healing this evening. The philosophy of self-care is diving into some healing this evening. So you are not the problem, the wound is. And that is the topic for this evening. You are not the problem, the wound is. And thank you for joining in this evening. So we are going to hop in. So make sure, like I said, make sure that you have your pen and paper ready. Um, Make sure you have your pen and papers ready, because I'm going to give you some nuggets, and you know that I am going to give you some valuable information. So I want to make sure that you get what you came for by viewing this live. So, but the first thing I want to, before we get into tonight's conversation, I want to make sure that I give a shout out to the author that is featured. So, the author's links are in the comments. You will see a um, book that I'm highlighting this week. And I want to take a moment to highlight that person, because part of what I'm building here is not just about me, right? It is about community. It's about elevation. It's about making sure that we are pouring into each other. So tonight's featured author is Nicole Wilkerson. She is the author of HBCU Bound, a guided journal for students preparing to attend a historically black college or university, and it is available on Amazon. So if you know anyone that is in high school and they're getting ready to prepare for college, or even an adult that is getting ready to prepare to go to college, you want to get them this journal. You want to get it into the classrooms because this journal is absolutely amazing. It walks them through and asks them questions and all the things. So you want to make sure that you have this journal. And not only that, she is the founder and creator of The Womb, WOMB, and it is Women Operating and Managing Businesses Network Group. And this is a space that I find so much value in. She it is a space to empower, to uplift, to inspire, to encourage, and um, educate women business owners through monthly meetings, workshops, seminars, and community engagement. She is based out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So if you are in the area, make sure that you tap in. If you are not, make sure you tap into her page on social media. It is called The Womb. And her name is Nicole Wilkerson. And so make sure y'all tap in, make sure y'all support, make sure y'all show some love, because we don't grow alone, we grow together. So with that being said, we are now going to get into this conversation. I know that y'all have been waiting. Um, waiting. Let me say something that is going to make you uncomfortable. Everybody keeps asking, why did they do that to me? But nobody's asking the real questions, right? You're saying, they couldn't possibly do that to me. I'm too good to them. I like all the things. Like, I didn't see that coming. Like, oh, that hurt. But what's inside them that made that possible? Think about that. What is inside them that made them hurt you? Because betrayal, inconsistency, emotional distance, that doesn't come from love, right? That comes from wounds, unhealed wounds, right? And so if we're being honest, um, we are dealing with wounded people. We're not just dealing with the wounds, we're dealing with the wounded people. You're reacting from your own wounds too. Think about that. We're not just dealing with wounded people, we're reacting from our own wounds. You're reacting from your wounds. Somebody else is reacting from their wounds. Okay? So, I'm going to give you 7 topics, seven nuggets. And I want you to make sure that you write them down. Okay? Because I want to make sure that we not only tap into what is going on around us, but we also tap into ourselves. Over the years, I've done different seminars, healing the inner child, um, knowing your worth, um, and several others. And what I understand is, and from my own journeys, right? What I understand is we have to recognize the wound that triggers us to react or do things that we do. And so when we don't do that, then what do? You know, people say hurt people hurt people. Okay, but where did that hurt come from? Where did it start? When did it start? Did you heal from that hurt? Most people focus on what happened, right? Most people focus on the cheating, the lying, the distance, but the behavior, that's the surface level. That's not what's really going on underneath. Let's talk about that. That behavior is surface. The real issue is underneath of that surface. And that is what we don't talk about. Okay? So if you are just tapping in, we are doing some healing this evening, and I am Coach Fee, and this is the philosophy of self-care. So make sure that you tap in every Thursday with me, because few things are going to happen. I always say everything I do is bigger than me. It is not just about me. It's not just about you tapping into my Thursday lives, or soon to be the podcast, whatever that looks like. I'm also going to be featuring a featured author, maybe an artist, because if we don't know what we have in our own communities, how can we help? How can we support each other? So it is my goal to, all, like I always do, even with my seminars, I am all about making sure that everybody knows what is in our communities, what we have going on. So if you have somebody that you feel like should be featured on the live, on a Thursday beforehand, make sure you send that over to me. And we will try to get them on the list, because I want to make sure that we share this and share them with everyone else. We don't just want to keep stuff to ourselves. And the best way that we can help each other is to share each other's stuff. Right? If we are doing something positive, if we are doing something great, we want to share that with other people. So with that being said, we're going to dive back in. But tonight's topic is, we are talking about healing, right? We are tapping into ourselves. We're tapping into others, right? Because sometimes we don't know what that wound is until we address what that wound is. And so surface level says it's a behavior. You know, people say, oh, it's the behavior, like, you know, but is it really the behavior, or is it something deeper? It's not the cheating, right? It's not the lying. It's not the distance. It's not, you know, the words, because that's all surface level. What we want to do is, we really want to get to what is the issue underneath, because people don't just sabotage what they value unless something in them doesn't know how to sustain it. Okay? Understand that. Behavior is what you see. The wound is what caused it. Let me repeat that. Behavior is what you see. The wound is what caused it. And so, point number one is, behavior is the symptom, not the root. Behavior is the symptom, not the root. Okay? And then the next point I want to make is, unhealed wounds create invisible rules. Now, unhealed people move by rules they never said out loud. I want y'all to hear this, and I want you to think about this, and I want you to take the notes on this, right? Unhealed people move by rules that they never said out loud. Don't trust too much. Don't get too close. Leave before you're left. All those type of underlying rules. So when something real shows up, they don't receive it. They react to it. Okay? They don't receive it. They react to it. So you're not being rejected. You're triggering something they never healed. Okay? If you're getting something from this, please let me know, because this is something that we all need to heal from. Like we all have stuff that we have to heal from. We all have stuff that you'll say, what in the world, where did that come from? And you don't want to just be talking about, yeah, I go to therapy, yeah, I do this, yeah, I do that. Are you really getting to the root of what the issue is? Are you really getting to the root of what, because, you know, people will say it all the time, they're not talking to me, they got an attitude, that's all surface level. The real issue is underneath it all. You know, and what people fail to realize is those wounds, if they're not healed, they plant seeds into the next generation and then they cause them to be unhealed people. So then you cause a wound into the next person. And then the cycle continues until you show up for yourself. As I always say, you have to show up for yourself and heal the wounds that you are hurting. And honesty with yourself. Honesty with yourself. A lot of times, people don't like being honest about what's really going on with themselves. They think if they don't confront it, they think if they don't speak it, that it's just going to go away and nobody's going to notice it. But you notice it when it comes out in your actions, in the surface level stuff. So how about you heal the wounds that you had? I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you are a teenager or if you are 80 years old. If you have a wound and you are mistreating other people, it's because you have something that is unhealed. And there's no reason for it, because when you can recognize that you have something going on, because if you have healed from it, you won't be reacting in a negative fashion to people that have done nothing wrong to you, that you say that you love, that you say that you love. Because if you love something, you don't want to hurt it. But if you are triggered by something that is said or that is done, where is that trigger coming from? It's coming from an unhealed wound. Okay? So unhealed, point number one was behavior is a symptom, not the root. Point number two is unhealed wounds create invisible rules. They create the rules. Unhealed people move by rules that they never said out loud. They don't trust too much. They don't get too close. They leave before you're left, right? And you're like, what in the world is going on? They didn't receive it. They react to it. So you're not being rejected. You're triggering something they never healed from. Okay? So let's go into point number 3 is you can't fix what they won't face. Let's understand that. You can't fix. We are so busy all the time, trying to fix people. Oh, I think I could some people want forgiveness without self-awareness. They want to move on, like nothing ever happened. They want to move on without going inward, without figuring out What is making me so angry about this? Or why would I cheat on my wife? Or why would I cheat on my husband? Or why would I make this person, why would I say something hurtful to this person and they have done nothing wrong to me? You can't fix what they won't face. So without self-awareness, they want to move on. Like nothing's ever there. You saw that movie, oh, I can't think the name of it at this moment, but it was a movie, and the little boy, he would wear the sunglasses because he wanted to be invisible, right? He just wanted to move about. That's the way these people are that don't want to deal with their inward stuff. But if the wound is still that, if the wound is still there, the pattern is still alive. So if the wound isn't healed, right, then what you think is going to happen? The same stuff. They can leave you and move on to the next person, or you can leave one job and go to the next job. And if you don't heal whatever that is, you're going to carry that pain, that hurt, that trauma into the next. But you have to look in that mirror and be honest with yourself. Changed behavior without healed identity is temporary. Let me say that again. Changed behavior without healed identity is temporary. You're putting a Band-Aid on it, but you're not healing it. Are you guys getting anything from this? Let me know if you're getting anything from this, because sometimes we got to look at ourselves. Okay? We got to look and say, do I have any wounds that need to be healed? And if you get angry about something, what triggered it? What triggered that anger? And then you take it back and you start taking notes. Wow, I got really upset about this conversation. Was that conversation that big of a deal for you to get that upset about? Think about it. Was that conversation that big of a deal for you to get that upset about? No. But something triggered you because you have an unhealed wound. Okay? So, stop confusing apologies with healing. Mm. Stop confusing apologies with healing. An apology can sound good. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again. But words don't heal wounds. Words don't heal wounds. Awareness does. Accountability does. Doing the work does. Okay? Apologies soothe. Awareness transforms. And once you start self-checking, I say this sometimes, when I'm doing different coachings and things, sometimes we got to self-check. Oh, you got to, like, what was that? Where did that come from? Okay? So apologies will soothe it. Oh, but awareness will transform it. And when you start being aware of your wounds, you start being able to heal them. Okay? So let's flip it. You too? Right? So now let's bring it back to you. Because it's easy to identify somebody else's wounds. But what about yours? Think about that. What about your wounds? What in you stays too long? What in you accepts less? What in you over explains? What in you tries to fix people? What in you shuts down? What in you ignores? That's not love. That's not just love. That's a wound too. So when you think about this, what you tolerate is often tied to what you haven't healed. That was point number 4. Let's flip it on to you. What you tolerate is often tied to what you haven't healed. Okay? So when you start healing, healing requires awareness, not just emotion. You know, crying is a release, but it's not always healing. Talking about it helps, but understanding it changes it. Healing requires you to name it, to face it, and take responsibility of how it shows up. Let me say that again. Healing requires you to name it, to face it, take responsibility for how it shows up. You don't heal by feeling. You heal by facing. Okay? You don't heal by feeling. You heal by facing. And I know that I have stepped on some toes in this because healing takes facing what is uncomfortable. That wound. Wounds are never comfortable. Okay? So, and the last thing that I want to go over before, because you know I'm very mindful of people's time and I want to make sure that you can watch this in a decent amount of time. And the last thing is real safety comes from self-awareness. See, there's 2 types of people. One says, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. The other one says, let me understand what in me allowed this to happen. Only one creates real safety because awareness breaks cycles. You know, we always talk about breaking those chains, breaking breaking generational curses. The curses stay because we don't heal from the wounds. And understand this, the repair doesn't start with the promise, it starts with the awareness. But when you don't heal that, in your DNA, you pass it on. Okay? In your DNA, you pass it on. So a lot of people, will say, why people just can't get over it? Or whatever that looks like. Sometimes you can't get over stuff because you got to heal from it. You can't get over stuff that you have to heal from. You can't keep holding on to stuff that you need to heal from. Okay? So you have to do the work. You have to do the internal work. You can't just let it simmer inside of you. Because let me tell you what that does to you physically. It will tear you apart. It will cause things physically in your body that you can't handle. it will cause things to happen, and you'll be like, what in the world is going on? Because you have a wound that you have not healed from. So the real repair starts with one question. What inside me made this possible? Not shame, not blame, awareness. And you know how I feel about judgment. We live in a world full of judgment. So we're not judging ourselves. We are recognizing what made this possible. Because when the wound is named, name it. The pattern loses its power. And that's where the healing begins. You got to put a name on this stuff. You can't just think that you are going to heal by ignoring it, by not facing it, and then you want to get mad at when people react to you, but you haven't healed your own stuff. You got to heal. So if this hits you, if you're realizing some of what you've been dealing with isn't just people, it's patterns, it's wounds, it's cycles, then it's time for you to do the real work. Because you can't keep wanting different results with the same unhealed version of you. Think about that. How do you go into another relationship and you haven't healed the wounds from the previous relationship? Or the previous, whenever those wounds actually happened, because maybe that's why the previous relationship didn't work. It's because you had wounds that you did not heal from. And to think that it is somebody else's responsibility to heal you, it's not. If you think it's somebody else's responsibility to make you happy, it's not. To bring you love, to bring you joy, it's not. That comes from within. But if you are so wounded inside, how do you love yourself? How do you be happy? You got to take care of you. Okay? So you got to tap in to your healing. And sometimes you need assistance with doing that. Whether you have a life coach like myself or whether you have a therapist. You have to tap in. And so I help women identify those patterns. I help them break them, rebuild themselves from healed places. So if you're ready, you know what to do. Put healing in the comments, right? And let's go to work. Let's heal some stuff. And also, if you are an author, if you are an artist, if you are an entrepreneur and you want to be featured on a future live, send me a message because we're building something that's bigger than me, right? We're building something that's bigger than just this content. Okay? So I hope that you have gotten something from this. I'm going to give you the 7 pointers. They are behaviors. Behavior is a symptom, not a root. Unhealed wounds create invisible rules. You can't fix what they won't face. Stop confusing apologies with healing. And let's flip it onto you. Healing requires awareness, not just emotion. Real safety comes from self-awareness. Okay? So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in to Coach Fee's Philosophy of Self-Care this evening. And we will see you next week, next Thursday, 5:30. Make sure you tap in, and tell your friends to tap in. Okay, share this on your page so you can go back and watch it again. Share it with your friends and have a conversation about it. Maybe this might spark some type of conversation to start you on your healing process. But I love you, and I hope that that is something that you want to do, because we all want to be healed out here and be in our happy space. With that being said, Coach Fee's out.